We're here at Ray Valley Solar Park, the UK's largest community-owned ground-mounted solar park. And it's capable of producing 19.5 gigawatt hours of energy, which could supply 6,000 homes. Now, community-owned energy is gaining more and more popularity due to the local incentives, the local benefits, and of course, the ability to supply clean energy. So we want to find out, how can more people become prosumers and get a slice of this community-owned energy pie? Welcome to Everything Electric.
Our 3 free YouTube channels on EVs and clean tech are funded by our fun-packed test drive-tastic events in Farnborough, London, the Southwest, the North, Melbourne and Sydney, and next up, Everything Electric Farnborough. And new for UK viewers, you can now buy a battery EV and much more at everythingelectric.store. Now, back to the episode.
Community energy projects help shift the balance of power and wealth away from big energy companies and towards local communities. But more than that, the profits generated from this kind of project can be kept within the local community as well. For example, this particular one has ensured that £2.6 million worth of clean energy spent is kept within the local community and will generate £13 million worth of community benefit funding over the course of its lifetime as well. Now, there are a number of different ways that you can do this, for example, a cooperative society or a community interest company. But what we're really interested to find out more about is community benefit societies. So we caught up with Barbara Hammond, who is the CEO of the Low Carbon Hub, to find out more.
The Low Carbon Hub is a community benefit society based in Oxfordshire, where we help communities all over the county to in their drive towards decarbonisation, and we help them because we make money from projects that we own, renewable energy projects we own, like this one.
Can you give us an overview of the types of projects that you're involved in?
We do everything from straightforward renewable energy projects like solar rooftops, solar ground mount. We own a run-of-river hydro. One of our community groups has a wind farm. So we do all of those renewables. We're moving into batteries now, and we've also been involved in major national innovation projects such as Project Leo, where we're looking at how to bring flexibility into the mix, where people shift the time that they use electricity so that we can manage intermittent renewables and the whole grid in a transitioned world. And then we have 50 community energy groups right across the county who are all doing amazing stuff, and we just give them bits of money, advice, we do policy work for them. We just want them to have the best environment to be able to do what they do in their own communities.
This is absolutely phenomenal, but I'm so curious to know, how does the financing structure work in all of this?
A community benefit society is a particular corporate structure, which was actually, it comes out of the Industrial Revolution and the building societies, so it's really embedded in our whole culture, which I love. So a community benefit society works differently from a mainstream business. We take shareholding in, so people invest money in us and they own equity in us, but we pay them as though they'd given us a loan. And that means that we pay them as an operational expense. And that means that our net trading surplus has to be spent on community benefit. We've done all the payments before the bottom line. A mainstream business would have to show the profit before they paid a dividend. That's the major difference. And that means that we can run very efficiently. It means that we can run in a way that most people will understand, in paying their interest payment every year. It means that we're exempt from the financial regulations, so we don't have to put out a prospectus, which costs a lot of money. We put out a share offer, so the whole thing is much more financially efficient and can be run at a local scale with local investors. And most of our investors do come from Oxfordshire. And that means that legally a community benefit society has to spend its net trading surplus on community benefit. So that's our whole purpose. We trade to get that community benefit surplus.
But what are the benefits to the local communities?
So the local communities we want to enable to do the things that they need to do to get the whole energy system in the UK transitioned to clean power, clean heat and clean transport. And that means everybody moving to electricity for all of their needs rather than just for the power and the appliances. Mm-hmm. And that's a massive change because we're moving away from fossil fuels to electricity. That in itself is going to mean that we're going to reduce our energy need by 40% because electricity is so much more efficient. But it means that people have to live and operate in a different way than they've been used to. So we need to help them understand. We need to help them form groups where they can work together. We need to help them understand the safe ways of retrofitting their houses, installing solar PV, batteries, heat pumps, moving to EV, thinking about how they move to active travel, which is healthier for them, helping them to understand how the electricity system works, what a kilowatt hour is, all of that sort of stuff. And people really want to know, they really want to be involved. And I think the main thing that I would say, if anyone from the government is listening to this at any point, is you have to keep the people involved by giving them a stake in this change. If you try to do it to people, it's going to take longer and it won't be as good.
So clearly there's a communications challenge here.
Yes.
And also ensuring that the right people are involved at the right point,
Yes.
making people feel a part of this.
Yes.
But if you could, wave a magic wand, what are some of the other things that you'd ask for to make this whole thing bigger and easier?
So scaling up community energy needs two things for us to grow our ownership of renewable energy and storage. We need to have mandated shared ownership so that we can buy into massive solar farms that are much bigger than this one, massive wind farms, battery storage. We need to be able to buy into those with community investment. And we need the smaller projects under 5 megawatts, so about a third of the size of this project. We need them to have the price support that the contracts for difference provide for the really big projects, so that if the electricity market price dips below a certain point, that subsidy kicks in to give you the confidence to put a 20, 30, 40-year project in place that's going to be viable over that time. So those are the two things that we really need to have. And then I think the third thing that I would just absolutely love to have is a proper dialogue about how we really include everybody. Because I can see this whole transition really benefiting people like you and me, who have capability, who have assets, who have income, and can take advantage of new systems. Buy an EV when we change our car, buy a heat pump when our boiler breaks down. Disadvantaged people will remain disadvantaged and won't benefit from this energy transition in the way they should if we don't have a vision for them, that we have a policy for, that we make happen. And I think in planning this, it would be tragic if we didn't make sure that everybody benefited.
30 miles from Ray Valley Solar Park on the other side of the county, another community benefit society is making a difference. We spoke with Angus, one of the local volunteers from Heat Clanfield, to find out what it's all about. Tell us about Heat Clanfield and what inspired you to start this project.
Okay, so Heat Clanfield is a community benefit society, and the idea is focused on producing energy, but also helping people to save energy and move to low energy solutions. So that's the kind of scope that we're looking at, and we've got to the stage now where we've done an initial feasibility study funded by the government, which is great. They do put their money where their mouth is, and that's told us that we have a very good chance of building a solar ground array, and using the proceeds that we might gain from that to fund the sort of the decarbonisation home by home of properties in the village.
So where are you in the process of actually having your solar array up and running, and when do you expect to have your solar array?
End of 2026,
Right,
we should know whether we can go ahead.
Okay.
And then I think it will take into 2027 and perhaps towards the end of that to actually construct and set it all up, because there's still going to be lots to do. So that's quite optimistic. So we're talking about probably 2.5 years.
I'm really curious to know, when people said, oh, it's too hard to decarbonise, what was the specific concern, do you think, there? And how have you proven that wrong?
Ooh, well, I'm not sure we have proven it wrong just yet, because we're still going through the process. But it was more just the time it takes to understand the issues, and to find ways to get the money together, and to find the people the consultancies that you can work with, to find organisations like Low Carbon Hub who can give you a helping hand, and there are charities that will support you. So that was what kind of like, it was just the sheer scale of it. And most of us in the group are retired, and I suppose, maybe we quite enjoyed being retired and not having to get up at early hours to do things, but we decided eventually we would. And so that's right. How we proved people wrong? Well, we've made progress, and there is a way forward now, and I think we have an exciting sort of set of thoughts, proposals, ideas to go ahead with.
What's the long-term vision here?
As the electricity market changes, and if the Great British Energy Company does what it says it's going to do and make it possible for us to sell electricity to our own users, maybe at a lower, find some way of making that at a lower price through some mechanism, and there are various possibilities. If we can do that, and if we can also get a better price for the electricity that we export to the grid, that means a bigger surplus. And with all of even with the 1.5 that we're aiming to do first, we should be able to generate funds that we can use to help individual businesses and residents decarbonise their homes, whether it's better insulation, using an air source heat pump, putting solar panels on the roof, or whatever else might be possible. So I think that is something which motivates us, because it's a very tangible benefit, cash coming into the village, that because we're a community benefit society can only be spent on their benefit. I mean, who wouldn't like that, So that's something that we are hoping to achieve.
What would you say to other people who might be considering this, and why do you think it's so important that we take these projects seriously?
Well, there's lots of reasons. There can be personal reasons. People who feel they need to contribute. They can't just sit around, being happily retired. They should do something useful for the community. And I think for a lot of people, that's hugely important. Everybody in our group, believes that climate change is the biggest crisis problem that the world is facing, and we have to do our bit. Even if it's a very, very small bit, we all have to do our bit. So that motivation, I think, is very, very important for us to take on.
What we've seen here today is a really neat and smart way to ensure that clean energy projects can be delivered more quickly in more places and benefit more local people. That is extremely cool. However, we've also seen that they are difficult, and they do require extremely motivated individuals to make these things happen. But I'm very grateful towards those individuals, because they unearth all of those various different hurdles that exist, and in doing so, hopefully make the path that much more straightforward for those who follow. So I hope that we see more community-based energy projects in the future. But that is all that we have time for today. Please do let us know what you think in the comments. Please do like and subscribe. And if you have been, thank you for watching.
Now visit electricvehicles.expert, where you can follow everything electric and keep current with Clean Technica, The Driven, Electrek, and many more.